Hey guys, welcome back with another episode of The Stack.
The weekly show where we talk about the latest tools, trends, and technologies impacting the world of sales and marketing.
I'm Sean Henry.
And I'm Tim Staversky.
Coming to you from Cheshire, Connecticut. Got a good episode for you today.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today, Tim?
A lot of stuff,
Yeah.
actually.
Some good SEO topics, right? How's your week going?
My week is fine. I honestly can't think of any particular thing that stands out because my life is a little boring this week.
Just looking forward to the weekend?
I'm always looking forward to the
That's
weekend.
good. That's good.
What about you, Sean?
Last night was pretty exciting because my son said Dada for the first time. So,
That's pretty cool.
And I'm going to play that for you guys really quick because I'm a proud dad. You hear it? Yeah? I do.
No, that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
You'd get it if you were a dad. You'll get there. So, anything catch your eye this week?
Yeah, I was actually reading an article, I think it was on The Atlantic, about robots that learned how to talk in their own language, not a non-human language. It was an experiment being done by, was it Facebook? I'm forgetting who it was, but it was an experiment on whether
Facebook designed chatbots.
They wanted to see how how chatbots would be at negotiating with each other. And as a part of the process, these bots, while negotiating with each other, actually created their own language to continue negotiating in, which is terrifying. And they kind of put the kibosh on that and changed the coding so that that wouldn't be how the experiment went.
So Facebook did, but that doesn't mean other people aren't doing exactly the same thing.
So the future is now.
There remains much potential for future work, Facebook researchers wrote in the paper. Means the work continues. They're gonna kill us all someday.
I don't think that's how their business model works. What do we know?
Yeah, well.
What about you, Sean?
A lot actually caught my eye, but one thing in particular was this new feature that Google's offering in search results. So if you were to go to Google right now and do a search, and I'll give you guys a quick example. Let's say you love beer, right?
I do love beer.
And you want a job where you get to taste beer all day. So you go to Google and say, hey, Google, tell me some beer tasting jobs. You're going to get those listings directly in search results. So you no longer need to go to Indeed.com or Monster.com or any of the other job search engines. Yeah, or even LinkedIn. It's all right there directly in search results. Now, granted, it's still those websites that's surfacing that information, but
it's the one step removed.
Yeah, exactly. So Google's kind of lifting that information directly off their websites, and on one hand, if you're a job search engine, you want to stay competitive. You don't want to be missing out knowing that all this click activity is going there. So you're going to, unfortunately, have to service that information at Google. Long term, though, it's kind of taking the need to ever visit their websites. And that's potentially going to be a loss of revenue, loss of brand recognition. So
especially if it's a website that relies on like ad impressions or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know why a job website would, but that'll all impact the bottom line.
Totally, yeah, and you could see them doing that with a pretty broad range of other topics, and they already are. If you have never checked it out, there's this thing called Rich Schema, and I'll show you some of the options that are available. But if you were to go to developers, well, just search for Google Rich Schema, and you'll come across some examples. But they have markup now where you can surface information about courses. Let's say you're a university and you want to list out your curriculum. You could have each of those courses listed out directly in search results.
Wow.
Book information, events, lots and lots of different options, and they're continuously adding new ones every day. So they're kind of forcing different publications, different companies to make their information more accessible, which at the end of the day is good for the searcher.
But who knows for the person creating the content.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a conflict for us in the world of SEO. Do you kind of feed the monster essentially, or?
Well, just like Google Flights is another example of this, and it's amazing, by the way. I recommend it to everyone. But it's you search for flights, and instead of going through Kayak or I can't even think of it, Expedia, Google will show you right then and there
Yeah.
what flights are available. It'll show you the cheapest ones. It's just awesome.
Another thing that like Google's trying to do, they're trying to get a little bit more predictive so that they can assist you proactively. So instead of waiting for you to do that search, flights to Dublin, because I'd like to go to Dublin, they may see that we've booked a hotel in Dublin and haven't booked a flight yet. So Google Assistant is proactively making recommendations to book a flight. And they might say something, we found a cheap fare, you should book it today. And I don't know if you guys see this little device right here on our desk. This is a Google Home. But you could also get this on your smartphone. There's other devices that are kind of tapped into this. And it's just becoming much more human, where it's trying to help us complete the task that we need to complete, in some cases before we even tell Google it's something we need to do.
Sometimes before we even realize it's something we need to do.
Yeah. So one way we've kind of messed with this recently is just getting featured in those featured snippets. A lot of times you'll see searchers asking questions that really they just kind of want a definition or a quick answer before they dive deeper into a topic. So I'll give you guys a quick example. Hey Google, what is a marketing scorecard?
On the website pepperlandmarketing.com, they say, a marketing scorecard is a data-driven marketing measurement tool that aligns activities to business strategy and allows teams to monitor their progress towards goals and improve their marketing efforts over time.
Pretty geeky, but pretty cool.
These people at Pepperland Marketing seem like they really know what they're talking about.
Yeah. Now the problem with something like that is that's great. So I've just answered this person's question, but how are they going to get to my website? That part of it isn't super clear just yet. And I think that's the missing key for marketers.
Because, if someone's just looking for a definition or a number or a figure, and it's in this snippet, there's no need to ever click in.
Yeah. Right.
So it's, again, for those content creators, especially people relying on ad impressions or advertisements for revenue, it can be a pretty negative thing. Just have to see how it goes.
You think about it a little bit more. I can go on and on about this. If somebody were doing a search like that, there's a good chance they're not going to dig too deep when they're on your website. There's certainly ways you could get them to do that, but it might not be until that second or third follow-up search that they do where they really want to dive deep and start engaging with content. So if I'm the person who answered that question, even if they didn't immediately dig in deeper, when they do that follow-up search a few hours, a few days later, they're also going to potentially be more familiar with our brand. We're the ones that informed them what a marketing scorecard was in the first place, or whatever it might be. So there's that brand recognition at play, which is kind of cool. So what do we got next? Our main topic, right? Yeah,
so I know something that's been kind of top of mind for us and for a lot of marketers in general lately has been finding ways to keep user need front focused.
Right.
And you have some thoughts about empathy on that, right?
Oh yeah, totally. So when we're thinking of, this really applies across the board for anything you do in marketing, sales as well, but because we're focused on SEO today, if you think of a search engine like Google, when you go to do a search, you're pretty much asking Google a question. Now, Google's gotten much more sophisticated at understanding what your true intent is when you're asking that question, as well as what your broader context might be. What are the main goals that you're trying to achieve that's leading you to ask these types of things? Yeah. And they're looking at all sorts of different signals. They're looking at where you're physically located, so what town you're in. That may influence the way it answers your query. What device are you on? That may influence the way it answers your query. So they're really trying to get smarter, understanding the searcher's intent. Now, Google is, of course, it's a machine. Of course, there's people working there, but a lot of this is now driven by machine learning. So there's a human element that's somewhat missing, but they're getting really sophisticated at understanding what your intent is. Now, if you want to make sure you're ranking at the top of search results, it's in your best interest to try to do the same thing. Yeah. If Google wants to make sure that it's helping its users achieve their goals, give them information and search results that are going to help them do just that, you need to do the same thing, right? Makes sense? So we've had a number of clients ask us about this recently, and it's something that we've really kind of baked into our process, and we'll show you how we're going about doing that. But I'll give you a few quick examples to make that real for you. So let's say I were to pick up my phone and search for pizza, Cheshire, Connecticut. We're located in Cheshire, right? So that's a real search I might do. I'm trying to find, let's assume I'm trying to find places where I can go and pick up a slice of pizza. Google sees that I'm, in my car or walking around, so they may draw that assumption as well because they see the search was done on my smartphone. Let's say you were sitting here at the office and you do that same search from your laptop. Google's going to see that you're on a desktop device, and they may assume your intent is slightly different. Maybe you don't want to hop in the car and drive somewhere. Maybe you're looking for a place to go out to dinner with the family later, right? So the results it's going to give you on your desktop might be slightly different than the results it gives me, who's walking around using my smartphone. Another great example would be a kind of broad term like lawnmower repair. So a lot of people, they have a broken lawnmower, they pick up their phone or they jump on their computer and they type in something like lawnmower repair. What would you think somebody's looking for if you saw that search?
I mean, it could be a lot of different things. Someone could be looking for a fix that they want to try themselves. Mm-hmm. They could be looking for lawnmower repair shops in their area. They could be looking for lawnmower repair costs.
Sure. Yeah.
They could just be looking for a new lawnmower because they're tired of fixing their broken down piece of
you kind of cut right to the chase. So I would guess that maybe 80% of the people doing that search are actually looking for somebody who can repair their lawnmower for them. But there is going to be that one really stubborn person like myself who wants to dive in there, get under the hood, and see if I could fix it. Even though I will ultimately fail and cut up my hand and probably throw a wrench or something.
And then there would be me who would want to just replace it.
Right, but for sure, Google has learned and understands that some people want to actually do that repair. They don't want to find somebody to do it for them. So although it's going to list out a bunch of companies who offer that as a service, it's going to give you a bunch of directories that kind of give you the best of those companies, reviews, feedback, to help most people find that shop that's going to do some quality work. You'll notice at the bottom of the search results page, here's a lawnmower repair guide. So they've recognized that there are some people who do want to go and learn how to do this themselves. So here's a great example of a search results page that's actually matching multiple intents. Now, that may seem obvious to you and I, but often it isn't, and you have to do a little bit of digging. So.
And that ultimately probably spawned from people searching for lawnmower repair, mm-hmm. and then getting frustrated with the results Google was showing.
Great point.
And either going back and doing another search, or just continuing on clicking until they find something that they actually click into. And over time, like you said, Google just learns.
Yeah.
And like you said, it will one day kill us all.
I mean, that's a great point. So Google does not want people hitting the back button. They want to show you a search result, and one way they could measure the effectiveness of that search result is whether or not that person stays on the website. We call this pogo sticking. People come to the site, they're not happy with what they find, they hit the back button and go on to the next one. So if Google's seeing that happening a lot, that will tell them, either we need to find other results to start to surface, or maybe we need to appeal to a broader set of user needs. So lots of factors at play. Yeah. One last point I'll make, it's not always just your situation and context that may influence this. It could be your role in an organization. So let's say you're in manufacturing and you typically work with engineers. An engineer coming to your website or doing any kind of search that you might target might be looking for more technical things because they're like trying to get into the weeds, right?
Yeah.
They might be looking for spec sheets or things like that. They want to see those very specific details. But the more senior level person, the executive, the VP, whatever they might be doing exactly the same search.
Yeah.
Now, what they're looking for is going to be slightly different. They're going to be thinking a little bit big picture, a little bit more strategic.
Yeah.
So how does Google cater to both of those people when they're doing exactly the same search? It's kind of tricky, right?
That makes life for us hard.
It makes life hard for us, but if you're smart about it, that gives you an opportunity as well. You can go to a search results page and see, people are only answering this very obvious need, but we know there's a subset of other users who are actually looking for something else. Is that a big window of opportunity for us to cater to? So it's a great thing for you to dive into.
Yeah.
We're going to give you some very specific steps. Before I do that, any questions in the chat, Tim?
Crickets.
Crickets, come on,
today.
guys. If you're following along, at least chime in, say hi, let us know who you are.
Say, we don't even have the Henrys saying that they're watching.
Oh boy, yeah. Chime in, say hello. We'd like to hear from you. Ask us questions along the way if you want us to clarify anything, and we'll definitely do that. So, how can you become more empathetic? How can you bring empathy into the process, get into the minds of who your searchers are? First thing you're going to want to do is create your personas. We talk about personas a lot, right? What, did we get a chat? Question?
Alexis is hi.
Nice. Hello. First thing you need to do is create your buyer personas. If you haven't done that before, a buyer persona is a semi-fictional representation of who your ideal buyer is. If you're going to go through the effort of optimizing your website, pursuing an SEO strategy, you're probably doing that for some commercial reason. You want to generate business. So you need to understand who those people are.
And creating a buyer persona lets you get in the mind of that person.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
And that's more or less what empathy is all about, right? Mm-hmm. Getting in the mind of someone so that you can relate to them, so that you know what they want.
Yeah. So if you've done this right, you've gone through their entire buying process and you've identified some of the typical questions that they're asking at each stage. So what are they thinking about at the awareness stage when they're first starting that journey? What are they thinking about consideration to decision? The searches that they're going to type in, or wherever they go to ask their questions, they're going to start to vary a little bit.
Yeah.
This is really step one in becoming more empathetic. Once you've done that, you now have a list of questions. From those questions, you could probably do some really top quality keyword research and get a sense of what people are asking at the highest rate. So what has the most search volume? What is fairly non-competitive that I might potentially rank for? So you're kind of moving closer to the actual search results page. But here's that key extra step that you need to do, and this is something that we've built into our process. You want to walk through what it looks like?
Sure. So this would be defining a user story for the person that you want to get to your website, for your persona.
Right.
And ultimately, what a user story is sort of like a statement that clarifies the objective of the person you're targeting, so that while you're creating your content, that you're creating the content so that it actually directly appeals to what the searcher is searching for. Did I explain that?
Totally.
Well
Yeah.
enough?
It should be your guiding light. Who is this person that I'm writing for? But what are they trying to achieve? What is that goal? What would if they were to achieve it, they would call that a successful experience.
Like for example, the ideal viewer of, say, a CT Weekend or one of the sites that we help out with would be Parent Pam. So as a parent, I want to find activities for my kids so that they're not driving me crazy this summer.
Perfect. Yeah. Or we could talk about the stack, right? So This is a show about tools, trends, and sales and marketing. So we might be writing a user story for a marketing manager. As a marketing manager, I want to learn about how to understand user intent so that I can become more effective at SEO, right?
Yeah. The basic formula is persona, objective, goal.
Exactly. Yeah. Now we have this built into our process. This isn't the exact template that we use, but you guys can go and make a copy of this for your own inbound efforts. So let's say you're writing a new blog post and you've provided some guidance saying you want to have a blog post that's roughly 800 to 1,000 words in length, and the keyword that we're targeting in this particular example is lawnmower repair. And we've already gone through the exercise of defining a persona. We'll call him DIY Dave, a bit like me, right? And there's that goal statement. So as a blank, I want to blank so that blank. As a persona, I want to achieve a certain goal so that I can meet some broader objective. And here's what we came up with as an example. As a handyman, I want to find an online lawnmower repair guide so that I can learn how to fix my lawnmower myself. There you go. It's as simple as that.
And then that kind of brings you to step 3, which is to write your content with the user story in mind.
Right.
Because we know that Dave is looking for a lawnmower repair guide. We know that if we create a lawnmower repair guide, there's a good chance that he will find our website, especially if there's not a lot of competition already out there on Google, or if Google isn't showing other websites.
We can go back to that search result, and it's not the nicest user experience, but there's a lot of really useful content here. There you go, how to fix a lawnmower, and they're drilling into a lot of the most typical problems. Lawnmower won't start. lawnmower starts and stalls, lawnmower battery keeps dying. Literally every single one of these things has happened to me this summer, and I wish I found this website a little bit sooner because I would have gone through every single one of these things. But they've got videos too, so they know that some people want to read a step-by-step guide. Some people, sorry for the phone, guys. Some people want to watch a video, right? So they're appealing to multiple personas and helping them achieve their goal. And Google's rewarding them for that. So awesome example.
And you said that there's a fourth step, right?
Well, the fourth, yeah.
Right.
I was about to repeat step number 3, which is writing your content and going back and checking and validating. But with number 4, what happens when you're not targeting a very kind of long tail keyword? So lawnmower repair for sure is not a long tail keyword. A long tail keyword might be something like lawnmower repair guide, or literally one of these questions, lawnmower won't start, lawnmower starts and stalls. But when you want to target a very broad term like lawnmower repair, you may need to create a piece of content that ultimately answers multiple intents. Yeah. A lot of people will go to Google and they'll start a search very broad. And when they go through that search results page, they're like, this isn't what I was looking for, or they're hitting the back button a lot, and they'll go and do a refinement. Yeah. So if you could understand what those typical refinements are, you have a good chance of getting on that first page if you're meeting all those individual intents.
And we call that a topic cluster, or the topic cluster approach, which is a strategy in content creation and content marketing where you're really trying to own a web of content instead of necessarily targeting just a single keyword.
Right. So how could we go about doing that? The first thing you want to do is to say, well, if somebody's doing that broad search like lawnmower repair, what are those series of subtopics that they might be thinking of? And I just typed in another search query. I said lawnmower stopped. And you see right here, people also ask, how do you start a lawnmower? How do you remove a spark plug from a lawnmower? How do you drain gas from a lawnmower? And then if you go to the bottom of search results, you're going to get a long list of additional questions. Lawnmower won't start after winter. Lawnmower, I'm not going to try to say that. Lawnmower starts and dies. Where is a spark plug on a lawnmower? So just by looking at search results, you can brainstorm a pretty lengthy list of additional subtopics. But if you've done your buyer persona research, hopefully you have some direct feedback from your personas as well. So let's show you what that actually looks like. The lawnmower repair guide was a perfect example of that. But let's say we wanted to, we're marketers, right? So let's say we want to target the highly competitive term lead generation. If you're a HubSpot customer, there's a brand new tool called Topic Clusters that is kind of designed from the ground up to facilitate this. So let's say I go into the tool and I'm going to create a new topic cluster, and let's say that is going to be lead generation. That's that highly competitive term that I want to rank for and target. And it's telling me that there's 66,000 monthly searches for this term. So if I could rank for that phrase, I'm going to get a ton of traffic. That's fantastic. Yeah. So now we need to brainstorm all those additional subtopics. Anything come to mind, Tim?
I guess something like lead generation trends.
Yeah, sure. Lead generation trends.
Lead generation tools. Maybe lead generation training.
Lead generation books. And I don't know if you guys can see this on the left, but HubSpot is recommending some specific topics as I'm going through this. So what are the subcategories of lead generation? It could be content marketing. It could be pay-per-click marketing. So it's recommending a lot of those things. Lead generation marketing, pros and cons of PPC, why is social media marketing important? So these are all subtopics that we might want to branch out on. Now, the first step in this process, I would argue, would be to actually create content for each one of these subtopics. It's going to be very easy to rank for that. If you have something that directly matches that long tail searcher's intent, there's a good chance you're going to rank whether or not you have an authoritative website or not, because you're helping that searcher meet their query. But once you've done that and you've created this library of content, you want to create a pillar page that is meant to be the home of all that content. And we can look directly in search results to see some examples of some of the pages that are ranking. I did that search for lead generation, and there's HubSpot right at the top. They've got Marketo, which is a major HubSpot competitor, just below it, and things like Wikipedia, and then you get a series of blog posts. But let's take a deeper dive into this first result and see what they maybe did right. Lead generation, a beginner's guide to generating business leads the inbound way. Now, this is a long blog post, and you can see it's drilling into a lot of these subtopics that we just brainstormed. What is a lead? What is lead generation? Why do you need lead generation?
It's like this is essentially an ebook in blog post form. So it has that super high level overview, but it also dives into the weeds and the details granularly, so that if someone's looking for anything related to lead generation, they're gonna find it in this blog post, which means that they're gonna rank and they're gonna get the clicks.
And here's the cool thing about it. They're linking into all of their sub-content. So they've got a link for calls to action, a link for landing pages, a link for forms. So this is telling Google two things. One, my page about lead generation is the comprehensive source. It contains all those things that people might be looking for if they're trying to learn about lead generation. But two, all of those pages that I'm linking back to, Google now knows is associated with lead generation, and it's creating that semantic relationship between your content. So the content you're linking to from this page is probably going to rank better, but that really highly competitive term that you're targeting with your pillar page content is also going to do really well. So if you're a HubSpot user, you might already have access to this. If you don't, sit tight. It's going to be available to you pretty soon. And it's really just designed to help you deploy this pillar strategy.
That is a paid option, right?
You have to be using HubSpot marketing. At least I think it's available for Basic Pro and Enterprise. But if you're on the free version, you're not going to get access to it. There's ways to do this without the tool. It's just a convenient thing. It allows you to do that keyword research a little bit more efficiently. So that's our main topic. Hopefully you guys found that helpful. We'll summarize all this in the show notes, and we'll include a link to that template so you can go there and use it for yourselves. And let us know what you think.
So you want to get through some questions today?
Sure. What's our first question?
Let's see. Okay, so we have nothing from the Facebook chat, but we do have some questions like we do every week. The first question comes from Quora.
Quora. Some great stuff in here.
And it's, how do I get backlinks white hat for a website? So how do I get backlinks for a website without doing anything wrong?
So if you guys don't know what white hat and black hat is, if you go to the early days of SEO, the whole game was to manipulate search engines. How can I do a bunch of sneaky things so that I can get a website up to the top of search results?
And it comes from old cowboy flicks where white hats meant good guys and black hats meant bad guys.
I like it.
So there's white hat hackers and black hat hackers.
What was that cartoon? It was like Good Spy, Bad Spy. Is that what it was called?
Spy vs. Spy?
Yeah, Spy vs.
Mad TV.
Right, yes.
I don't remember what it was.
So yes, there in the SEO world, it's something you want to ask about. If you're thinking about hiring an SEO, do you follow white hat techniques or black hat techniques, or what are some black hat techniques that you would look out for? See if they can answer those questions. It's a good thing to ask.
And why does someone want to be a white hat SEO person as opposed to a black hat SEO person?
So this person asking this question, I mean, they're smart. If you are acquiring links in a black hat way, you are putting yourself at major risk. One of the ways that SEOs used to manipulate search engines was they would go out to and literally buy thousands of links. And a lot of these links were coming from very spammy websites. Some of the websites existed solely to provide those links. A lot of hackers do this. So if you ever get some malicious code on your website, you may see there's a bunch of random links suddenly popping up for like medicine and stuff. That is a black hat technique.
Mail enhancement.
Yeah, sure. It may provide you like with a very minimal bump for a short period of time, but as soon as Google catches on, they're going to penalize your website. And they've gotten more selective with this, but there was a period of time if you got penalized for one of these shady links, you would be removed from search results, and that was catastrophic. So it's still a major risk. You need to be very careful about this. If you identify those, poorly acquired links, you want to remove them and figure out how you can break that. But going back to the question, how can you acquire them in the right way, white hat techniques? There's a long list of things that you can do. This is a pretty lengthy topic. We might want to cover it on a future show. Yeah. But I would say the easiest thing, well, it's not the easiest thing, but I would say the best way to acquire backlinks to your website is to create content that is link-worthy. Put something out there that people will naturally want to link back to, and you're going to be successful. Yeah. That might look like original research, that kind of really powerful stat that everybody wants to reference in their presentation or in their blog post, but nobody's put out there yet.
Could be a tool like a calculator or some kind of interactive
Yeah.
guide.
Yeah, totally. I mean, the best thing is you can do is, do that search and say, what's missing? What is this one thing that I could do to one up what everybody else has done? Maybe it's that interactive tool or guide like Tim just explained. Maybe it's a really cool infographic. But it should be something that is above and beyond what others have done. You do that, you're going to get those links naturally. But I would say that the best thing for acquiring links is really to be that original source. Provide some stat or research that only you can provide. Survey your customer base or do some experimentation or something to get to that. But
like every year, HubSpot puts out the State of Inbound. It's a huge report on inbound marketing, and it's chock full of stats on cold calling, on whether or not email is more effective than telephone versus live chat, all kinds of stuff. And because it's just so valuable, they get thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of backlinks.
Yeah, perfect example. Absolutely. So, what other questions we have, Tim?
So the next question comes from the HubSpot community, and it is from Ross Kelly, and he is asking if there's a way to freeze the top row in contacts. It's that row that has the heading, first name, last name, email, telephone, etc.
This row right here, right?
And unfortunately, at least as far as I know, there's no way that you can lock it in place. You can do that in like Microsoft Excel, but obviously Excel doesn't help with everything else that HubSpot does. So if you really want this as a feature, you might want to head over to the HubSpot Ideas forum and submit it. Seems like it would be an easy fix for them to implement. I don't know why they wouldn't.
They probably don't see it as a major need, but go into the forum and put it out there, and if other people agree with you, hopefully it'll get voted up.
Yeah.
So,
and then we do have one more question. This one's from George Jr., also on the HubSpot community.
okay.
And what he's asking is, can I segment my contact list for different lead sources? I'm just starting out with HubSpot and the CRM in general, and I'm trying to figure everything out within the forum, videos, article, etc. Unfortunately, I'm able to find the solutions for the following thing I would like to do. My business has different sources of leads. Let's say some leads are from LinkedIn and others are from a live networking event. I would like to have two lists, one for the leads generated on LinkedIn and one for the leads generated by networking events. Is this possible? And it is possible, right, Sean?
It is.
It's a little, there's a process involved, but you can definitely get where you want to go.
This probably depends on where you are in the organization. So are you on the sales side or the marketing side, right?
Yeah.
You want to start on the sales side? Where would we?
Let's start on the marketing side.
The marketing side? Okay.
Yeah, so in general, let's say, HubSpot has a field called the original source, and that details where the contact originally comes from. So this is a non-editable field.
You can't change it.
You can't change this field. Yeah. So if the contact is something that you imported directly, it's going to say that it came from an offline source. If it's contact that was generated directly from social, it'll say social. But that's as granular as it gets, and you can't change that. What you can do, though, is create your own custom field within the system. And to do that, you would click into it.
There's a lot of steps that we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes.
But we've already done this, right, in the demo, so we've got this custom field that allows them to have that detail. Right?
And for something like this, you might say, call it lead source detail. So once you set it as a field, you can then manually go into your contacts and enter the value, say LinkedIn. And once you have those set, you can create your lists to work off of.
And there you go. So this is already starting to populate what that list might look like. Lead source detail is equal to LinkedIn. Perfect way to get that custom view for my leads that I've manually imported.
And this is on the marketing side. If you're on the sales side, you wouldn't do this through the contacts. You would do this.
Well, you would do the contacts.
Well, yeah, you would do it through the contacts. Yeah. But it's a little bit different.
Yeah. So the difference is instead of lists under contacts, we're just going to contacts on the sales side, and we're going to create a custom view. So it would basically be I shouldn't say exactly, very similar. We're going to look for that lead source detail field. And, if we want to create a view that's was it LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, yeah.
LinkedIn, we have that filter, and there you go. So we have that filtered view, and now I'm going to save this, and let's just call it my LinkedIn leads. And you can keep this private, so only you could see it, or you can make it shared so other people can see it as well. I'll make it shared. And there you go. So I think we answered their question, right, then?
Yeah, I think so.
Cool.
I think that's all we had
all
scheduled
we have?
today. Did you get the cartoon of the week from GrowthBot? Because
No.
it popped up during the show.
Did somebody ask?
No, I just
Oh,
it
here.
popped up
What do we
during
got?
the
What's our cartoon of the week?
So it's a bald guy talking to another guy, and it says, "We're not selling galvanized steel plumbing washers. We're selling the galvanized steel plumbing washers experience," which I kind of get. It's not that.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed the show. Let us know if you have any questions. We'll get back to you afterwards. And check the show notes. You can go to pepperlandmarketing.com/thestack to see the notes from this episode or from previous episodes. And to get notified. We want you to tune in each Friday at 1 o'clock. So.
And we'll have those up in just a little bit.
Cool. Thanks. See you soon.